Have you noticed that everyone is burned out right now? Not just tired, not just busy, actually genuinely burned out. Everyone is running on empty or matcha, and we all just act like it's normal. So what's actually happening? Why does it feel like an entire generation of women is just exhausted? The answer is cortisol. And before you roll your eyes thinking this is just another wellness video telling you to rest more, hear me out. Because this one is about actually understanding what's going on inside of your body and why modern life is actually breaking our body. If you Google burnout, you will get a clinical definition. But how burnout actually feels is like this. Imagine a candle. I just actually got a candle. So imagine this candle and you light it up, right? So basically the light, the fire is like you working. You're working, you're doing, you're in a go, go, go energy. And slowly the candle burns until it's empty. And when you then, I don't know if you ever tried to light up a burned candle, it won't work. But what we do is, even though our candle is burnt down already, we continue to work, we continue to do everything that we're doing. But there's actually nothing more to burn. So what are you burning off? Biologically speaking, a burnout is when you have been in a prolonged time of chronic stress, a legit long time where your body was under constant stress. What then happens is that your body is feeling like it's under attack, and your stress response, specifically your cortisol, is getting dysregulated. That's because your nervous system is stuck in survival mode 24/7. Your body is actually feeling like being chased by a bear all the time, even when you're actually just sitting at your desk and answering emails. The very first symptoms are stuff like you cannot sleep, or you wake up at 3 a.m., or you're wired but tired. You're craving sugar and carbs all day long. You're anxious, on edge, and even small things feel really big. Eventually, you're even starting to gain weight. Why this happens is because, as I said earlier, your body is in survival mode, so your cortisol is high all the time. And when your cortisol is high all the time, your body thinks that you're actually in danger. So sleep is not a priority. Digestion, also not a priority. Fat burning, definitely not. Your body is literally just trying to keep you alive. The interesting thing is, if your cortisol stays too high for a too long time, your adrenal glands, the ones that are producing cortisol, get really exhausted. They literally can't make any more cortisol. So they are starting to slow down the production, and your body can't regulate or handle that stress response properly anymore. This can look like you sleep 10 hours, wake up, and you still feel exhausted. You need caffeine to get out of bed. You have zero motivation, zero energy, so you're really like feeling drained and just like really squenched out. And generally everything feels heavy. And that's what burnout is. Not just being tired, not just having a busy week, not just having a stressy period of time. It's actually your stress response breaking down. One thing I want to mention is I was always thinking of cortisol as the bad guy, like the one that we should keep low, the one that we don't want to have too much, that we don't want to hang around with too much because, you know, they're like bad influence. But actually cortisol is not that. Cortisol is supposed to have its own rhythm, and cortisol is supposed to be high at times. For example, when we wake up, then cortisol should be high because this is what actually gives us also the drive to wake up. And as the day goes on, our cortisol should gradually drop throughout the day, so that basically when it's nighttime, we can go to sleep, and our body is also signaling, okay, I'm tired now, I gotta go to bed. But as we said, when your cortisol is chronically high, everything just gets flipped, and the body's built-in stress responses cannot work properly anymore. So how did we get here? Why is everyone burned out these days? Because I feel like everyone is burned out these days. It's the whole generation of women that is burned out. And how could that happen? I feel it's because we live in a society that's really fast-paced, always on, always evolving, and we want to keep up. We want to keep up so badly. The problem is that being still, that taking a rest, that maybe even just being quiet isn't as sexy as go and getting it. But the reality is we need rest just as we need the go get it energy. But we live in a world where you need to work in order to survive, like literally survive, just to pay your bills, just to pay your rent, just to keep watching this video on whatever you're watching on. So we're undersleeping to go to work but to still have free time. We are over matchaing because we cannot get up in the morning or work without the matcha because because we are already exhausted. We underestimate the amount of calories we are actually burning, and we're over-exercising, overworking, trying to keep up with work, life, friends, and family without having any boundaries. And our bodies, they are paying the price. But here's the question I always had in my mind, because I was like, okay, well, I cannot avoid stress. Does this mean I'm automatically stuck in chronic stress? And here's the difference. Acute stress is short term. So you're basically having a deadline, you're having a really busy phase, you're finishing that deadline, and then you recover. So your cortisol spikes for a moment, but you get the time to downregulate afterwards because you take the rest. That's normal, that's healthy, that's just life, I guess. Chronic stress is when you never recover. When you go from one stressful thing to another, when you're in constant survival mode, but you never actually take the rest to recover from the cortisol spike, from the cortisol increase, and from the stress that you're constantly living in. So cortisol never gets a chance to actually come back down. So it's not about eliminating stress, because it's not really realistic. Life is lifing, and that's stressful at times. But it's about recovering from it, and that's the key. Recovering from all the stress that you've been through so your cortisol actually gets a chance to rest. Now, there are a million things people will tell you to do in order to lower your cortisol, to regulate your cortisol, also in order to just deal and handle stress. But for me, honestly, it all comes down to my morning and evening routine. So what I do in the morning, first, I do have my morning sunlight. It's so important because Dr. Huberman taught me about this, and I'm so proud to tell you now. Morning sunlight is actually something that already triggers how you will sleep at night, because morning sunlight is playing a crucial role into communicating with your cortisol. It signals your body that it's time to wake up, time to get up, now it's morning. After that, I try to eat within an hour of waking. I do this to signal my body safety, to signal my body, hey, we're safe, everything is good, we are not in survival. Because back then, all these responses from our body was literally to survive. Third thing is, I don't drink coffee, but I love matcha. I love matcha, like I'm a matcha addict. I love you so matcha. But I try to think of the timing so that I don't drink matcha first thing in the morning, but rather have some real food first and then have my matcha as my reward. What I like to do fourth, I try to avoid social media for the first 6 hours of my day. I do this because I want to do things that actually fill my cup or that are moving the needle in terms of my goals. So this is why I just like to consume less in the morning and really be more at peace. No outward noise, because I feel like social media is so much noise. Even when you're looking something you really like, even if you're having a For You page where you can learn a lot, still it's noise, and I don't want that for myself in the first 6 hours of my day. Now, coming to the evening, I really like to take magnesium before bed. I usually do this in the second half of my cycle, so in my luteal phase, because then the magnesium also supports my hormones. But in acute phases of stress, like really busy seasons, you can definitely take that throughout the whole cycle, because magnesium is not only good for your hormones, but it's also good for your sleep and also lowers your cortisol. What I'm currently trying to experiment with, no screens 1 hour before bed. I feel like this could help my body to really relax and not be on anymore, because I personally, usually in the evening, I'm watching some podcasts, and even though I love them and even though I learn so much from them, I'm still active and on all the time, you know? So this is why I'm trying to right now bring this habit into my life. Besides of my morning and evening routine, I learned another thing that is really helpful when it comes to cortisol. This is nervous system regulation. When you breathe in slowly with a longer exhale, it seems to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, and the parasympathetic nervous system is important for your relaxation. It promotes you being in a relaxed state. And what I found really interesting is that there was a study that even showed that prayer activates brain regions that involve emotional regulation, and that it engages the parasympathetic nervous system as well, which I found so interesting, and I didn't hear anyone talk about that actually. So yeah, prayer is lowering your heart rate, your blood pressure, and cortisol. So amazing. I feel like God didn't tell us to pray for no reason, but He really did know why He's telling us that. Let me wrap up everything. The thing is, we're just not supposed to live like this. Waking up tired, needing the caffeine to just feel a little bit alive. feeling wired at night but still being unable to relax. This isn't just life. This is not normal, or I don't want this to be my normal. I do believe that this is actually your body screaming for help and screaming for attention especially. But the worst part is that we've been conditioned to think that this is our fault. That we just need to try harder, that we need to do better, improve sleep, and have a better work-life balance, you know? But it's not about trying harder. By making sure that you have rests where your cortisol actually can lower down, you won't just feel less tired, but you're getting your life back. Your energy, your clarity, your ability to actually enjoy these things that are worth living for you, you know? I've already said in the first video that this is a series, so in the upcoming videos, we'll even dive deeper. If you're tired of being tired, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, because we are just getting started. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope this helped, and I'm happy to see you next time. Bye!